Ethan had always believed that love was simple. When two people were meant to be, things just fell into place. That belief carried him through the whirlwind romance he shared with Ava, the woman who changed his world with a single smile. From the moment they met, he was drawn to her charm, her warmth, and the quiet ways she made him feel like he was the only man alive. Their wedding was nothing short of magical. A crisp autumn afternoon, golden leaves dancing in the wind, and friends and family gathered to witness what seemed like a fairy tale unfolding. Ava looked radiant as she walked down the aisle, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. To Ethan, she was perfect, his forever. But he didn't know she was carrying a secret heavy enough to shatter everything. The truth waited, patient and cruel, hidden beneath her vows and layered beneath every smile she offered him that day. It wasn't just cold feet or nerves. It was something deeper, something she thought would fade with time. But the truth never fades, it festers. It started small. Subtle absences, unreturned texts, a strange distance in her eyes when she thought he wasn't looking. Ethan brushed it off at first. Marriage was an adjustment, after all. But as weeks turned into months, the gap between them widened. The warmth faded from her touch. She began working late, disappearing on weekends for girls' trips she never used to need. One night, curiosity pushed Ethan past his patience. Ava had left her phone charging on the kitchen counter while she showered. He hadn't meant to look. He told himself it was just to check the time. But a message flashed across the screen before he could stop himself. "Miss you already. Last night was amazing." It felt like ice in his veins. The sender's name was saved under a fake female alias, but the message made it clear. This wasn't friendship. His mind raced. His heart pounded. And suddenly every odd moment, every excuse, every unexplained absence fell into place. He didn't confront her that night. He needed to be sure. Over the next few days, Ethan dug quietly, piecing together what Ava had tried to bury. The truth was uglier than he imagined. The affair hadn't started recently. It had been going on long before their wedding. In fact, he found messages exchanged between them dated just 2 nights before the ceremony. Ava had stood across from him, vowing loyalty and love, with another man's fingerprints still fresh on her skin. The realization hollowed him out. When he finally sat her down, she didn't even try to deny it. Her eyes welled up, but not with guilt, just fear. Fear of losing the life she had built with him. "I thought I could end it," she whispered. "I thought once we got married, I'd finally let go." "But you didn't," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "You let me believe we were starting our lives together, and it was already a lie." She tried to explain, to spin it as confusion, as weakness. But nothing softened the blow. The truth she had hidden on their wedding day wasn't just infidelity. It was betrayal in its purest form. She had stolen his choice, his ability to walk away before promises were made, before rings were exchanged. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't throw things. He simply stood, turned, and walked away. Sometimes silence says more than anger ever could. As Ava sat alone in the home they once shared, surrounded by framed memories now stained with lies, she realized something. The truth she buried that day didn't just end a marriage. It destroyed a man's belief in love itself. Ava watched the door close behind Ethan, the finality of it echoing louder than any slammed door ever could. For a long time, she didn't move. The air felt thinner, heavier, like the truth she had buried had finally sucked the oxygen from the room. The house grew quiet in the days that followed. No more soft humming from Ethan in the kitchen, no clinking of his coffee mug in the morning, no sound of keys dropping into the bowl by the door. His absence was not just physical. It left a void in the very walls, a ghost of the life they were supposed to have haunted every corner. Ethan stayed away. He didn't answer her calls or reply to her messages. And he didn't need to. He had heard enough, seen enough. But Ava couldn't stay silent forever. She tried writing him a letter, a last attempt at salvaging something. She poured her guilt onto paper, explaining how the affair had started at a low point in her life, how the man meant nothing, how she had chosen Ethan every day since the wedding. But as her pen scratched across the page, even she felt the hollowness of her words. Because she hadn't chosen Ethan. Not truly. If she had, she would have ended the affair before she said, "I do." She would have come clean before she wore white and vowed loyalty in front of people who believed in them. Ethan received the letter. He read it once, then slid it back into the envelope without a word. Forgiveness wasn't something he could give. Not because he wanted revenge, but because he deserved better. He deserved truth from the beginning, not the fractured version Ava offered after the damage was done. Months passed. The divorce moved forward quietly. There were no dramatic courtroom battles or screaming matches. Ethan didn't care about the furniture, the house, or shared possessions. All he wanted was distance from her, from the life built on lies. Ava moved back into her parents' home temporarily. Her lover? He had disappeared shortly after everything unraveled. Whatever illusion they had was gone the moment it faced the light of consequence. She had lost Ethan, and she had nothing to show for it. Sometimes she caught glimpses of Ethan in town, at the coffee shop where he used to sit on Sundays, at the park where he jogged alone now. He looked thinner, older somehow, not broken, but changed, like someone who had survived a storm and decided never to trust the sky again. And one evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the world in gold, Ava found herself driving past the chapel where they'd been married. It stood still and proud, its stained glass glowing softly. She parked the car and sat across the street, watching it. Inside that chapel, she had smiled. She had looked into Ethan's eyes and promised him forever. And inside that same chapel, she had buried a truth so sharp it sliced through every dream they could have built. The truth she hid on their wedding day didn't just end their marriage. It ended the version of herself that could have grown into something honest, something beautiful. And now, all she could do was live with the echo of what could have been, what should have been, if only she had chosen honesty when it mattered most. Weeks turned into months, and life moved on, for everyone except Ava. The town, once full of familiarity and comfort, now felt like a slow-burning punishment. Every corner carried a memory. The bookstore where Ethan had surprised her with her favorite novel. The little diner where they used to split milkshakes and talk about their future children. All of it felt like a graveyard of promises she'd broken. Ethan, on the other hand, had quietly rebuilt, not loudly or quickly, but piece by piece. He poured himself into his work, took longer runs in the morning, and eventually stopped checking his phone hoping to see her name. The pain didn't vanish, but it dulled with time, like a wound that scabs over, not pretty, not clean, but healing all the same. One rainy afternoon, Ethan ran into Ava's sister, Clara, at the grocery store. She hesitated before approaching him, unsure if she should speak. But Ethan greeted her kindly, still the same polite man he'd always been. "She regrets everything," Clara said softly as they stood in the cereal aisle. Ethan gave a faint smile. Some truths don't come with second chances. Clara didn't argue. She just nodded. There was nothing more to say. Ava had lost the only person who had truly loved her, not because she made a mistake, but because she made it and hid it. Back at her parents' home, Ava sat by the window every evening, watching the world go by. Her mother tried to comfort her, but there was a distance between them now, too, an unspoken judgment, or maybe just disappointment. Her father barely spoke to her at all. They had loved Ethan like a son, and losing him felt like a family tragedy. One day, Ava received an invitation in the mail. It was to a charity event, one she and Ethan used to attend together. She hadn't expected to be invited. Maybe it had been automatic, a forgotten name on the mailing list. She almost threw it away, but something in her needed to go. The night of the event, she wore a simple black dress. No makeup, no earrings, just herself, raw, tired, and uncertain.